Hey there, Cubs fans. My name is Seth of Northside Baseball, northsidebaseball.com. Coming to you with an episode we're just going to call Talk, basically. And today we are going to do Iowa Cubs Talk with Alex Cohen. Alex is the radio play-by-play voice of the Iowa Cubs, has been for a while, but he's also got a pretty interesting background, lots of unique opportunities that he's had. So we're going to spend a few minutes getting to know him, and then we'll start talking Iowa Cubs. So, if you happen to watch this and have ideas, feel free to leave comments below on what types of questions you'd like to see asked, or, maybe players you'd like to see interviewed, things like that. So without further ado, you don't want to hear me talk. You want to hear this guy talk. He's got the radio voice, and he is the radio voice for the Iowa Cubs. His name is Alex Cohen. Alex, how are we?
I'm doing great, Seth. How are you?
I'm absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for doing this. Well, let's just get started. You've been the radio voice of the Cubs in Iowa and Des Moines for, almost 7 years. Give us a little bit of your background, not only with the Cubs, but leading up to that. I know you've had some pretty cool experiences in Iowa and really all around the world.
Yeah, no, I've been really fortunate to be calling baseball for the last, 15 years. Really started in 2009 when I was in college. Grew up in the Philadelphia area, so I was an intern for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, AAA affiliate for the Philadelphia Phillies, 2009, 2010. Then 2011, graduated from Indiana University. Took a job at Indy Ball with the Gateway Grizzlies, just outside of St. Louis, as their number 2 broadcaster. And then I started in minor league baseball, 2012, 2013 with the Huntsville Stars. At that point, AA affiliate for the Milwaukee Brewers. That team then got sold. So in 2014, I actually went the media relations route, went to Oakland, California, was the media relations assistant intern with the Oakland Athletics. And that's when I realized I missed having a microphone in front of my face. And I talk way too much to be behind everything and not in front of everything. So then I went to Australia, called games in the Australian Baseball League for summer out there, winter here, and then started really from the bottom up. One summer, 2015, voice of the Idaho Falls Chuckers, rookie league affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Then 2016, 2017, voice of the Bowling Green Hot Rods. At that point, they were the single A affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. And then 2017, got the job with Iowa, and then the voice of the Iowa Cubs since the start of the 2018 season. So it's been a lot of area codes, a lot of states, a lot of bus rides, and a nonlinear path, but it's been a lot of fun.
I was going to say, with AAA, I think the accommodations are a little bit better than with A-ball. I'm just picturing, Bowling Green was kind of in the middle of nowhere relative to the rest of the Midwest League.
Yeah.
You've been on some long bus rides.
Yes, especially in that league. Our closest bus ride was Dayton, which was 3.5 hours. And, you go up to the 3 Michigan teams, Great Lakes, Western Michigan, and then Lansing. Those are in our division, and those are 9-10-hour bus rides with no off days for the travel days. So it got pretty timely and pretty tiring. But those Bowling Green Hot Rods teams were really good. For the 2 years, made it to the playoffs, had guys like Jay Cronenworth, Brandon Lowe, Nate Lowe, Josh Lowe, Mike Brasso is a non-drafted free agent, has 5 years in the big leagues. That's not even including some of the pitchers, the arms, the Jose Alvarados, Diego Castillos, Brock Burks, Miles Masterboni, who's an infielder now with the Cubs organization.
Yeah.
Played with the Cubs for a couple weeks now with the big leagues. He's on my 2017 team. So a lot of talent coming through Bowling Green that made the bus rides a little bit easier.
Yeah, not to mention those Cedar Rapids drives had to be about 15 hours. I'm sure.
Not close. Yeah, I think it was 12. Yeah, it was 12, 13 hours. Yeah, it was a long bus ride.
The glamorous life of professional baseball.
Exactly.
I'm kind of curious a little bit. What was kind of your background? What were some of the things that you did to kind of prepare yourself for a career in sports, in media relations, in broadcasting, and kind of almost use it as a way to say, hey, if someone's listening to this, they're 15 years old or 18 years old, and they're thinking about it, what would you tell them?
Get in front of a microphone, get behind a camera, get as much experience as you possibly can. So Grew up in the Philadelphia area, went to Upper Dublin High School, and myself, my two best friends, when we were sophomores, we started the sports broadcasting club in our high school. And all three of us are still in the industry. Yeah, Josh Getzoff is the TV play-by-play voice for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Stephen Watson does pre- and post-game shows for the Bucks and the Brewers in Milwaukee on Bally Sports. And then myself. So all three of us, we started the sports broadcasting club and broadcasted everything. Any possible sporting event. I think our second sporting event was Powder Puff football, just to put it into perspective a little bit. So
Wow.
hockey, lacrosse, field hockey, football, basketball, swimming, golf. The only sport that I didn't broadcast in high school was baseball because I played. So just getting as much experience as you possibly can. Go to your cable access channels, go to your local radio stations, go to your local newspapers, go to every local high school and see if they have some sort of streaming component on their website. So just getting as much experience as possible.
That's a great idea. I'm curious too. I don't know how far Chicago is from Des Moines, but I'd always recommend people, if you get a chance, go to some minor league games. I recommend that even in the low A levels and things like that. But just to see the variance of the talent at the various levels, and it's something that I've done a couple of these interviews with radio voices. And they're in the A level, and I'm curious. You've had plenty of experience in the A level. Yeah. What is it? How is it different? Maybe calling AAA games compared to the lower levels.
Lower levels, you get more walks. Lower levels are normally longer games. Lower levels, momentum is a little bit more difficult to dictate. There's just more outside factors. There's more pitch counts at lower levels just because guys are getting built up and developed. Just from an experience standpoint, I love going to low A games or A ball games because it's just so much more of an intimate feel. And I think AAA still has that. But you go to an A ball ballpark, it seats anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 people. I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house. And they have so many fan-friendly type of promotions or opportunities to meet the players, get down on the field, play catch on the field. And again, we do that in Iowa. It's more free-flowing at the A ball level. So I would recommend, if you want an intimate baseball experience to, bring your kid to, where it's family friendly and affordable. I mean, going the minor league route in particular, but you go with the lower levels, go to Cedar Rapids, you go to, Beloit, used to go to Kane County when you're in the Chicagoland area, but now that's indie ball. You have an opportunity to do that. I would take that.
Yeah, absolutely. And last one, kind of as it relates to yourself and this job you've got. First of all, it is pretty cool. I'm sure you've got plenty of stories of guys that you followed. You mentioned a bunch from the Bowling Green, and I would think to carry those stories has to be absolutely incredible. So again, thank you very much for sharing those. And we are going to talk a little bit about the players that you covered this year. I had a chance to meet you up in St. Paul, a month ago, and was glad to do that. But you got a team that's very interesting right now. It's got some guys that are going up and down. I saw Luke Little was just promoted back up to the big leagues a couple of days ago. You recently had a few other guys come up from Tennessee. I mean, here's my question before we get to the players is, at AAA, what is the day-to-day for you? And how is that different maybe than the lower levels? I know that lower levels, you're like shoveling snow and you have to and stuff like that. Is it any different in the AAA level?
Yeah, my day-to-day really depends on the day. I mean, right now with the Cubs having, 14 guys on, the injured list at some point over the last month, it's revolving around roster moves and making sure that, players are able to get from Tennessee to Iowa or wherever the I-Cubs are, or wherever the I-Cubs are up to the big leagues, because one of my other duties as assigned is also being the travel coordinator for the team. So when we do fly to Syracuse, I'm the person, booking all the plane travel and getting all the 39 tickets all situated and making sure that we have proper layovers and making sure that everybody gets on the flight. They have their TSA pre-check numbers, that all the flight lists are updated. So as the team's travel coordinator with a lot of roster moves that have been having over the last month, my job has definitely been a little bit more stressful and team travel related. So I think just making sure that I know what the roster moves are when they're happening is paramount for what I'm trying to do. And then from a broadcasting side, when you're getting all of these new players and an influx of new talent, just making sure that you know who these guys are and what makes them tick and what makes them breathe. And how they play at the AAA level, why they're playing well, and if they're struggling, why they're struggling.
Well, let's get to those players. Let's get to those transactions. This transaction was not on the transaction page 10 minutes ago, I don't think, but it appears that the Cubs have recalled right-handed pitcher Porter Hodge from Iowa.
Mhm.
I know when I saw him there a month ago, he was just making his first AAA appearances. He was added to the 40-man roster last November. Tell us a little bit about what Cubs fans can kind of expect for him. Maybe it's a short-term thing for now, but I think he's got a future,
Big league stuff. 23 years old, 6'4" righty, throws 95 to 96. He hit 97 last night when he was at St. Paul. He topped out at 99, so he has that in his bag. He has a legitimate out pitch as his slider. So 2-pitch mix. I mean, he'll occasionally spin a curveball. He's been working on a splitter, but his 2 best pitches are his fastball and his slider, and you hit it, you can rename it. He's got some really high-octane, big league caliber stuff. It's just consistency for him. And a guy just getting more innings, more high-pressure situations, and now going up to the big league, so he'll learn trial by fire. But I definitely think the stuff is big league caliber for Hodge, and not just that, back end of the bullpen type of stuff.
Well, and I mean, that's not unusual for guys coming into the big leagues, first of all, just be nervous in that opportunity, but also, Hodge has only been a relief pitcher full time for like a half a season, right? I mean, a lot of these guys, it's still a new role, adjusting how to get themselves ready for a game. So I'm sure you see some of that. And it's, you don't always think about that when you look at the box score, but what these guys are, working on and things like that. It's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, and sorry, Seth. I mean, the Cubs do that a lot. I mean, they did that with Daniel Palencia, getting him up to the big leagues. They did it with Ben Brown, getting him to the big leagues. And then initially doing it with Keegan Thompson and Justin Steele when they were going up to the big leagues in 2021. So I think the Cubs, regardless of role, they want to see their best pitchers, their best arms in the big leagues, whatever situation that may be. So, Porter Hodge, he was a starter this time last year at the AA level, and now he's a big league reliever. I mean, it's crazy how much 11 months changes things.
And as much as he probably would love to be a starter, that big league paycheck will make relief pitching seem like a pretty good thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you can fly on private planes and stay in 5-star hotels and pitch in front of 40,000 people, I think he'll be happy throwing in a relief capacity, for the Cubs.
Well, there's 2 current pitchers that are with the Iowa Cubs right now that I think you could also put in that category of having big league stuff. One's obvious, but one you just got this week in Eduarniel Nunez. And I know that he's wild. He's always been wild. This year, I think he really controlled that for 1 month, down in Tennessee. But have you had a chance to see him yet? And I mean, tell us a little bit about him if you know much.
Yeah, he hasn't thrown with us yet, but I got to see him throw a bullpen, and it is pretty electric. It's pretty electric. It's one of those where you would not feel comfortable standing in the box when he's throwing. It's an uncomfortable at bat. Big, strapping, right-handed pitcher, 99 miles per hour, and it's every bit of that. The ball really jumps out of his arm. 2-pitch mix. He's got a nice secondary breaking ball, and I haven't seen him in a game yet, but I can imagine everything is high octane. It's especially it's exactly what you would imagine a back end of the bullpen arm in the big leagues would be. Just 12-6 hammer breaking ball and 97 to 99 mile per hour fastball.
I feel like I may have thrown you a little bit on that name. So let's get to the obvious name that we think has big league stuff. That's Cade Horton. And I know, again, when I talked to you a month ago, the Cubs kind of slow played him headed into the season. I'm sure some of that just to keep the innings count down. But he started in Tennessee, made a couple of starts there, but it didn't take long for them to bring him up to Iowa.
Yeah, started yesterday, 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Line is definitely misleading because he went 4 no-hit innings and then gave up 4 hits in the 5th inning, none of them over 84 miles per hour. It was 1 infield single, 2 bloop singles, and 1 broken bat double down the left field line. So you look at the outing, 5 innings, 3 runs, but you actually watch the outing. He was really impressive. He got 15 swings and misses, fastball, 94 to 96. Slider was great. Working on a split change that's been awesome since he's been here. It's a legitimate 3-pitch mix, and you can see why he's the number 2 ranked prospect in the Cubs organization. And even with the 3 strikeouts, like, well, why are the strikeouts so low? We still got 15 swings and misses, so he's missing bats. I like him. I think that he's going to be in the big leagues for a very, very long time. But he's not the prototypical, like, top-tier pitching prospect. You think of top-tier pitching prospect, you think of Paul Skeens, like a thoroughbred, 6'6", 240 pounds. Ball jumps out of his arm at 89 to 101. And Cade Horton isn't a soft-tossing righty by any stretch. I mean, right now he's been 94 to 96, topping out at 97, can probably get it up to 98. Not soft-tossing by any stretch of the imagination, but he's 6'1", 210 pounds. I mean, he looks like a point guard. So it's a little bit of a different build, but the stuff is legit, and he's going to be in the big leagues for a long time.
And 10 years ago, he would have been considered a flamethrower if he touched 96.
Correct.
So
Correct.
The game has changed, but you need those guys. And I think you make a really good point about, the swing and miss stuff doesn't necessarily have to mean strikeouts. I think weak contact is another indicator that probably doesn't get talked about often enough. Tell me a little bit more about a couple of your other starting pitchers. I mean, a lot of times those guys are the ones that get talked about. And I'm going to probably say the last name wrong, but Thomas Pannone. I mean, he's been around a long time. He's been around a long time. He got off to a really good start, and he's been pretty good. He's kind of that veteran lefty. Chris Clark, you got Julio Teheran at this point, another major league veteran with a lot of experience. And Dan Straley recently. And then, it just seems like hit and miss from there. Guys getting called up, guys getting moved down, maybe some spot starts. It doesn't really seem like you've got your traditional, you're just top 5 or top 6,
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Pannone's going to start every 6th day for us. I mean, he's a guy that that he's starting. He's giving you 5 innings or 6 innings. I mean, definitely not going to kill the bullpen. Throw strikes, 3-pitch mix. He is a pitcher. Like, he knows how to, work batters, methodically go about his pitch count and inning by inning, at bat by at bat approach. So I've loved watching Thomas Pannone pitch. And then, as you said, you have a lot of arms with Iowa that have started games that have also pitched the bullpen. Chris Clark has primarily been a starter, but he's done a little bit of everything with Iowa. He closed the game last year. He's pitched out of the bullpen. He's piggyback guys. He's a 6'7" righty, big-time sinker ball pitcher with a nice backdoor breaking ball against left-handed hitters. Riley Thompson has started and relieved. I mean, he was a guy who went to Louisville. He was a really accomplished college pitcher. And a guy, if he stays healthy, I mean, the fastball 94 to 96, 4-pitch mix, he definitely has big league stuff. And then Sam McWilliams, also a guy that nobody really talks about, 6'7" righty, was out of baseball for a while, but he has a legitimate 3-pitch mix, fastball 96 to 98, ball jumps out of his arm, averaging about 18 strikeouts per 9 innings. So you have those arms, and then you have Carl Edwards Jr. in the bullpen, guy who won the World Series with the Chicago Cubs 2016. And has spent, 6-7 years in the big leagues, pitching for 5 different teams. So you have that type of experience as well. And you brought up Julio Teheran, Dan Straley combined. They have 17 years of big league experience. So there's a lot of experience in that starting rotation. And for that matter, in the bullpen for the iCubs, it's just trying to figure out what their roles are and to get them into a groove.
I want to throw this past you. It's something I've kind of been throwing around in my head for a while. And I think the fact that Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball just last year, and then I think even a little more this year, have cut down on how many players you can have within the organization. I'm starting to wonder if you're going to see more veterans signing because you only have so many spots. And the veterans, you kind of know, in a worst case scenario, they can come up and at least give you adequacy. I'm kind of wondering if that rule and those numbers might change anything as we go forward. And yet AAA's always kind of been that spot where guys are trying to get back or they're recovering.
That was going to be my answer. Yeah, that was going to be my answer. I think at the A-ball level and the AA level, you won't see it as much, but definitely at the AAA level where you are concerned with the player's development at the lower level. So if you need, especially an arm, to come up and give you, 5 innings every 6 days, or to get you a middle of the bullpen arm that will be able to mop up innings in the 6th and the 7th innings for guys that are on pitch counts. So I do think that you will see that a lot at the AAA level as time goes on, not as much at the single A level or AA level. That's just my opinion.
And I think an example, and so this is a semi-hypothetical, but if the Cubs truly are going to say right now, Cade Horton isn't ready. We think there's a couple things we really want him to do before we call him up. They can still call up Julio Teheran, even though he's got 9.6 ERA, and be able to make that make sense. I mean, everyone wants to see Horton, but he's a guy that's going to go up there and he's going to maybe give you a chance of here and there at least.
No, you expect the guys with that much big league service time to be able to figure it out for a start or a week or a month to go in there and give you quality innings and at least keep the game, at the spot where they're coming into the game and not have it blow up or not have non-competitive at-bats and not potentially stunt growth. So, I think Cade Horton is, the future of the Cubs starting rotation. Hopefully he'll be there for the next decade, but you do have reinforcements at this level that can come up there and make sure that all the injuries that the Cubs are facing are not insurmountable.
Yeah, we've talked way too much about pitching. We need to talk about hitting because that's fun. I know, again, seeing these guys in person, I think is always important. I saw one Iowa Cubs game earlier in the year, and I'd say a couple of things from what I saw. Pete Crow Armstrong, who's now in the big leagues, but he could go back and forth as injuries, and things like that maybe, looks the part of a center fielder. And I would say Alexander Canario looks the part of a right fielder, a big league right fielder. I would say Luis Vazquez looks the part of a big league shortstop. And I mean, you hate to always go by the scouting, the look, the whatever. But I think let's start with those three. I mean, those three guys I think are going to spend some big league time over the years. Obviously, Crow Armstrong's been a prospect since he got drafted. Canario's kind of had a longer story, some injuries involved, things like that. Vazquez, I think, was a little bit of a surprise ad last year at the 40-man round. Not a surprise ad, just he needed to be added because if not, he would have become a free agent. They could have lost him. Am I mistaken on any of those three guys? I mean, what have
not
you
at all?
seen
No, I mean, with Luis, I'll start with Luis. I mean, it's just a really interesting story. So, he was a guy that was drafted out of Puerto Rico, 7 years ago, was a defense first prospect really all the way up until last year. Made his Iowa Cubs debut in 2019 as a filler because we needed a body, and he came up and he played short. You knew right away as a 19-year-old that he was a big league caliber shortstop. It was just a matter of would the bat ever materialize. And last year he had 20 home runs between two levels, and it was materializing. And this year he's hitting 280 with 3 homers and a 400 on-base percentage. So the bat is continuing to progress. And I think even if it just stays at this point, he's a big leaguer. Yeah, because he can play big league caliber defense at 3 different positions: second base, third base, and shortstop. Will he start with the Chicago Cubs? Will he play 160 games with them? Probably not, because you have a second baseman that's signed for 3 years and a shortstop that's signed for 6 years. And then Christopher Morel, who you transform into a third baseman, he's probably playing there every day now. So it'll be tough for Luis Vazquez to crack the Chicago Cubs lineup every day unless trades happen, which they've happened before. But he's a big league caliber player. Then Alexander Canario, he's just 24 years old. He turned 24 years old last week. He's still young. But he can legitimately do everything. I won't say he's a Gold Glove caliber defender, but he can defend both corner outfield positions. He can fill in center. He's got a plus arm. He has plus speed. He clearly has plus power. So that right there, you're talking about a 4-tool outfielder. I don't know if he'll ever hit 300, but he's definitely not going to hit 200. He's not a 30% strikeout guy. He draws a lot of walks. He has a good plate approach. So he legitimately has 4 tools. That doesn't fall off of trees when it comes to baseball prospects and players. So I think when you have that in your arsenal, you're going to be a big league player for a long time. And then you talked about Pete Crow Armstrong, struggled offensively with the I Cubs, then went up to Chicago and has been playing better and better each and every day. I looked yesterday, he had a .9 WAR. He had a higher WAR than Ronald Acuna and Julio Rodriguez, 2 outfielders that are among the best talents in all of baseball. And I mean, he has higher WAR than Corbin Carroll and other players like that, but he is a Gold Glove caliber defender. I remember seeing him for the first time and going into our pitching coach's office as Ron Vallone, 15-year big leaguer, ultimate immaculate gritter. And I said, you're pitching. You have him behind you. How do you feel about that? He's like, I don't like putting, lofty expectations on players, but it's like having Kenny Lofton out there. So when you have Kenny Lofton and a, 5-time Gold Glover, and you're comparing Pete Crow Armstrong to that, it's pretty good.
Wow.
So my comparison for Pete Crow Armstrong is Kenny Lofton combined with Devin Hester with a little bit of Machine Gun Kelly. You get it all with him.
Wow. That's a great illustration there for everybody listening.
It's a pish-posh of personalities.
Yeah. It's always interesting. You never when I talk to an interview radio guys, radio voices, you never have to worry about coming up with too many questions because these things naturally we're already at 25 minutes. But I do want to ask you about two more guys and then I'll let you go here. The first one is Matt Mervis. Got off to a very fast start with Iowa. The Cubs DFA'd Garrett Cooper, I think, and called up Mervis just because I think the plan was for Mervis to just stay up there. But after about 2 weeks, he got sent back down. But he's continued raking there. Do you see anything you think that he needs to do to just make that last step? Or is it the fact that Michael Busch has just kind of done a great job at first and there's just only so many opportunities?
I mean, I think it's a combination of everything. I think Matt knows what he has to work on, and it's really, really hard to get from AAA to the big leagues. It is tougher to get from AAA to the big leagues than it is to transform at any level to go from A ball to AA or AAA. AAA to the big leagues is a complete 180 switch. If anything, a 360. So I think that Matt comes up there. I mean, I would hope Matt's in a situation where the next time he goes up to the big leagues, they give him 100 ABs, 200 ABs instead of 25. And they just say, with these 200 ABs, if you get 50 hits in these 200 ABs, you're staying. If you get 40 hits or not, and just give you, the clear writing on the wall, what you have to achieve. And, it's easier to do that with a team that's not in contention. But with Matt, I think that, just going up there, getting into the rhythm, being able to settle down, being able to, unbutton the collar a little bit. Won't say relax because it's not his natural disposition, but feel like he can go at bat to at bat, game to game without not getting sent down. So, but I think at the AAA level, he's done a great job coming back here. Obviously not letting the demotion get him down. I mean, he had 3 home runs in the last 5 games for the I-Cubs and, hitting 330 this year or 327 or something like that. I mean, he's been awesome. So I think just, Matt, once he gets the next opportunity, because he will, whether it's with the Cubs or somebody else, being able to go up there, relax and make sure that, he can really take in all the information, get to know the players, get to, feel comfortable up in the big leagues. And I think once that happens, he'll be good.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I mean, obviously, like Yogi Berra said, it's huge mental game, and getting to the point where you don't feel nervous because you just had an 0 for 4, or you don't have to worry about, oops, I just made an error. Am I going to get sent down? It's such a huge thing to get past for every
It's a huge hump to get over. I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, especially when you're a non-drafted guy like Mervis and you go up to the Cubs that are right now, in a divisional race, in a pennant race, or one of the highest market teams in baseball. They have one of the biggest fan bases in baseball. So it's a completely different animal.
Absolutely. Last guy I want to ask you about, I should say that carefully because there'll probably be more, but Brennan Davis is a name that has been at the AAA level. He's fought so many injuries the last couple of years, but you look and he's still just 24 years old. He's putting up pretty good numbers in, I see 20 games, so he's missed a little time this year too. But does he have one or two things to take that next step? Again, loaded outfield. You got Happ, Bellinger, PCA, Suzuki. I mean, that's a loaded outfield to break into.
Talking's been great. Yeah. No, it's a really tough depth chart to crack. I mean, you have Brennan Davis and Owen Casey, who are 2 top 30 prospects. Casey's 21 years old and hitting 280 right now with a 900 OPS and a 400 on base percentage, and futures game type of player, top 5 prospect in the organization. And then you have Brennan Davis, who was the futures game MVP in 2021, and he's only 24 years old. And I think you said one or two things that Brennan Davis has to work on. It's really one, and it's staying healthy. And I think that he has had some awful luck, but being able to stay healthy and string together at bats for not 2 to 3 weeks, but 2 to 3 months. And if he's able to do that, and Brennan Davis is on a tear right now. He's homered in 4 consecutive games, homered in 4 out of his last 5 games. That's obviously not sustainable. But to be able to have sustainable results, and if he hits 250, 260 with an 850 to 900 OPS, and you put together a season averages, 20 to 25 home runs, odds are probably going to be a big leaguer. Might not be with the Cubs, but some other team with that type of pedigree might take a chance on him. And
he's a decent defender too, right?
Great arm. Plus arm. I mean, he led the organization in outfield assists in 2021. Already had 2 outfield assists with the I-Cubs so far this season. It's a legit arm from the outfield. It's a plus tool.
Well, and again, there's a million guys we could talk about. I mean, anywhere from a veteran like David Bodie to maybe, I'm assuming, Kurt Casale had a opt-out in his contract because he was playing really well.
It was actually really cool with Casale. He had an opt-out the next day, but prior to that, I think it was 24 hours before, got contacted by the Giants, and then the Giants, took on that deal. And now he's starting catching for the San Francisco Giants, a place where he's played before and had a lot of great memories with his career. So, 35 years old, a player who was considering retirement about 2 months ago. Now he's playing in the big leagues, catching a win against the Dodgers at now what's at Oracle Park. It used to be AT&T Park. So it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, and to me, that's the thing about AAA too. With Miguel Amaya, Yan Gomes, those guys aren't going anywhere. An opportunity like that, you have to feel good for them. You and I talked a little bit about the Chase Strumpf, Royce Lewis connection at Jay Serra.
Yeah,
we could go through name after name after name, but I'm going to leave a few. Maybe next episode you and I are on, we can spend 10 minutes talking about Owen Casey's hair and college.
As you can see, I'm jealous of the hair. I wish I could have that. So
same thing.
Same haircut. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you doing this. Next week, you're back at Des Moines taking on Indianapolis. Anything exciting going on? What can we do to promote people or tell people to get down to the ballpark if they're able to?
Yeah, I mean, we have a 6-game homestand at Principal Park, 6:38 p.m. first pitch on Tuesday. We have a 12:08 p.m. first pitch on Wednesday. First night game, Thursday night game, 6:08 p.m. It should be 6:38 p.m. first pitch on Thursday, 7:08 p.m. on Friday with the fireworks show, one of the best in the Des Moines area. And then Saturday, 6:08 p.m. first pitch, and then a Sunday with a 1:08 p.m. first pitch. So we always have great promotions. Fans can play catch on the field on Saturday. Fans can run the bases on Sunday after the game. It's just an awesome atmosphere, and the weather's finally trying to cooperate. We'll go with that when it's to weather in Iowa in late May. So you should get some good temperatures. And you look at the Iowa Cubs injured list. It should be the Chicago Cubs injured list right now, and you're approaching double-digit players. So maybe some of those double-digit players rehab with Iowa. When they're at home next week, we shall see. So.
Absolutely. Definitely encourage people, if you get a chance, get to Des Moines, get to a game, get to a series, get to a weekend, whatever you can. I think it's well worth your time if you're a baseball fan. With that, Alex, thanks so much for spending some time today. Again, hopefully we can do this every few weeks to catch up on what's going on in Des Moines, what's going on with the Iowa Cubs. But good luck. I know you're in Syracuse tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and safe travels back home.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And next time, you know where to find me. I'm happy to come on anytime. So thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Check out Northside Baseball. And, of course, go Cubs and Iowa Cubs.
Go Cubs.